Hello, friends. Well, we're going to try again something new, but I want to talk about yesterday's reading um, about having day, and the end of our read was the Book of Life, and I didn't know what that was. But apparently, when I looked it up, it's in the Bible twice, once in the Old Testament, once in the New Testament. I believe I'm correct here. And apparently, every uh, before creation ever existed, God wrote down names in a book, and those were the people that were going to make it at the end and be recognized. And this was before this whole thing even before creation even started. God wrote names in a book, and I don't know, as our final outcome, the book of life. Um, you know, are the Bitcoiners those people? I don't know. It suggests a lot of big things. Anyway, I hope you looked it up, and I hope you did your due diligence. If you hear about something you don't know about, you should look it up. I do. It's easy, especially with a cell phone. But anyway, the Book of Life was like a pretty big deal. So I don't know what that means in terms of the reading, but holy cow, if we're among those whose names, well, I read more too, and it's like every year they either, if you don't measure up, they scratch you off, or you remain, and you have to just remain good year after year after year after year, and you know, be a human, but for the most part, remain on your mission and remain good. And maybe that's us, the Bitcoiners. Maybe that's why we're the downtrodden, because we remained good in a society where that doesn't pay. So anyway, I needed to tell you about that because that was kind of a big revelation for me when I read it. And I was like, holy cow. I also thought it was important that I didn't get it when we did the read. And that left more to the journey ahead is really what we make of it and how we guide ourselves and how we guide the changes. So we need to embrace the fact that we're in charge of a lot of what's going to be manifested, because we're either going to say yes or no. We're either going to allow it or we're not going to allow it. And that's going to become more and more true as Bitcoin holders. So let's practice on the little stuff that doesn't matter, but it's time to stand our ground and stand up for who we are and what we believe. What do I say? Let's see. Talk is cheap and thoughts are even cheaper. This is a world of action, and you have to do things. You have to physically do things. This is a physical universe. So anyway, needed to say that as well. Okay, now the other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to do a read on El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Argentina. But considering they're all different places, I'd like to do a shorter, instead of a full read, I'd like to do a shorter version on each one. But the oracle cards, I'm going to ask they be representative of the whole picture, because I think these places are test places to see how instituting Bitcoin at this stage of the game in this country, how it's going. And maybe two of the three are great and one sucks, and maybe they all suck, and who knows. But we'll see what our reading says in terms of their progress and their mission and their goal of what they're trying to accomplish in those places. If I was in charge of the bringing on of Bitcoin into the world, I would do small test places to see how it goes with humans. The five-fingered creature, as who was it? The Navajo, I think. The five-fingered creatures. That's us. Anyway, so oracle cards, please tell us how these test sites, these experiments are going in all three places in a general way. That's what we're asking of the oracle cards. Okay, let's see. Just like the moon, I will go through phases. Just like the moon, I will go through phases. Well, that's something to think about because they may be at different stages, and we may see something happen in one place, and then later on it happens in somewhere else. The same stuff, you know, like the stages of grief, that kind of thing. So maybe that's a forewarning to us to think in terms of stages and progress and different states of maturity, just like a human. Like your first Saturn return is a big deal, very big deal, and your second one is also a big deal. So what are you going to tell us about those places in general? Inner journey. Yeah, inner journey. Well, yeah, that, you know, each to his own. It's Bitcoin is a private kind of a journey, inner journey. But I think those cultures also are different enough that they may, you know, adopt one thing and the other culture won't have anything to do with it. I don't know. Funny. That's why we're doing the read. Okay, Moonology, what do you have to say about these places that are trying out Bitcoin as a money system? Which is what it is. We know that. We understand that about Bitcoin, that it's the whole system, that it's everything that we have now all rolled into one. It's the stock system and the monetary system and the central bank system and everything, investment system, banking system in general. All that's, you know, fiat. And Bitcoin is all of those things. Okay, Moonology, tell us your wisdom, please. Let's see. Prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. Well, I always like to hear prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. I think we're actually coming up on Taurus season, so this is maybe very timely and appropriate. But prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. New moon in, I think I went too far. Yes, I did. There it is. Prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. This card will often come up when you're inquiring about a financial matter or when you're doubting your self-worth. The card suggests you can have what you want, including material things, but you must believe in yourself. This comes down to the laws of attraction. Value yourself and others will value you too. You can create abundance. Taurus is associated with luxurious Venus, and this card holds the new moon energy. So now is a good time to make a 12-month financial plan. This card can also signal the start of a new relationship or sexier times. If you've been wrestling with something for a long time, the new moon in sturdy Taurus is a sign not to give up just yet. Get or give a massage. Healthy body, healthy mind. You will soon be able to afford the thing you're dreaming of. Getting clear on what you value most will help you find peace. Take some time out to pamper yourself. Start a standing order to a savings account, no matter how small. Yeah, right. We often feel that it's somehow wrong to focus on our finances, but the truth is that money can make life far more comfortable from a physical point of view. Taurus knows this, and the new moon in Taurus is the time to work your magic to create the money you want so you can have the creature comforts you want. Remember, though, that someone else is still wishing for what you already have. Wow, if that's not like the teaching and the message about adopting Bitcoin. Yeah, take the time to work your magic to create the money you want so you can have the creature comforts you want. Like, that's a sentence that was written for this reading. craziness. So anyway, in general, I think that maybe everyone else is going to go through a big upheaval, but they're going to have that resource that they can jump to quickly, and then they're going to appreciate it. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so the first one we're going to do is El Salvador, and it's going to be about the country itself and about Bitcoin, but it's not going to be the politics or any one person. It's just going to be the country itself and, you know, what's happening with Bitcoin and its adoption. How's that experiment going? How's that experiment going? I know some of these places are saying, you know, crime is way down and median income is way up. And, you know, I hear the reports. But, you know, you can't always trust what you hear. Like we're going to trust the cards more so. I would. I don't. The messages are more true. Okay, anyway. There we go. All right, so El Salvador. So it's 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is the past. This is what's really happening, and this is how the world sees it. This is how it shows up. This is El Salvador. The 10 of Pentacles in El Salvador. That's El Salvador. That's pretty great. Like, that's pretty great. It's a great card because it's a 10. It's also a success, well-established friendships and foundation, comfortable, you know, castles and dogs and carpeting and ornamentation, lavishness. That's El Salvador. And the history is the Page of Pentacles. This is them studying the money and thinking about it and learning about it and really understanding the process so that they can adopt it. And this is how the world sees them. Well, you know, they're doing what they can. They're still miserable and it's not going well and blah, blah, blah about all the bad news. But seriously, they're you know, they got their 2 of Cups there that they're not showing anyone. They're sort of looking at all the sadness. But there's this 2 of Cups that is, you know, their secret happiness. They made a good decision and they're really starting to see the benefits of it. And this is their past history of, you know, wow, we had to do something because we were like falling fast. So that's essentially, so in truth, they're the Page of Swords. This is the future. And these are 2 qualifying cards for the future. Wow. Okay, so let's take a couple things at a time here. So they're showing up as very wealthy, even though the world sees them as, you know, not so great, and the world is more pessimistic than the truth. The Page of Swords is they're finding out more. They're finding this guy was studying about the money and learning the systems in order to put them in place. That was their history, but they're moving to the Page of Swords, which is like a detective, finding out, experiencing things, and then responding to them, taking care of the people, making sure the program stays afloat, and they're troubleshooting all the little places, and they have people in place to do that. And the High Priestess is the future of where they're going to. So they're really going to have to learn it all and be magical in order to keep this running. You know, they have to mold their society into what they want it to be now that they have sound money and harder money than we've ever had before. So maybe they're going to realize that, hold on, you know, we didn't think this was any big deal. They're caught up in their daily lives, but hold on, something just happened, and now, hold on, you know, and they're holding this stuff, so they just got richer. Well, everybody, you know, feels that way anyway after the halving. The King of Cups is very generous, in command. This is past sorrows, which is why I think they have to be the high priestess, in that they have to understand the sorrows and remember what happened, but they can move into a better place of happiness. And it's not always about money. It's about families, and it's about being satisfied and feeling safe and seeing good things happening, being part of a community where good things happen. You walk down the street and people say hello, you know, they're friendly, the animals are friendly, you pet the dog as it goes by, you see children laughing. All of those things are what this card is telling us. It's fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. So I think El Salvador sounds like a great place, and I think it's going to get to be a greater place. But that's what's happening right now. Is you know, they've got it. They're still steering the system. They're still learning, and it's a process. But things are moving along well, and I think they're saying, yeah, I recommend this. Thumbs up if you want to go with that definition. Um, we are having a successful thing here, even though it's not advertised. There are good things happening, and they're learning a lot, so that when the rest of us hit this, maybe that's how they're going to blunt those outliers, the parts of the curve, that are on the ends. Those ends need to be blunted so that we have a better experience. Not real terrible, not absolutely mind-blowingly wonderful. You know, great, steady, good, right? So anyway, that's what El Salvador looks like. So that's cool. Good cards. Good cards. So we'll chuck them in there. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Prosperity lies ahead. I will go through phases. I will go through phases. Inner journey. Yeah, those are all appropriate for what El Salvador is doing. Okay, Nicaragua is next. We'll see how their experiment is going. All right, so 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Well, already we have a major arcana. They're showing up as the 8 of Cups, which is, you know, I'm done. I'm walking away. Like, walking away from everything. I don't care. I'm cutting my losses. I'm walking away now. So I think they were really done with the fiat system, and emotionally just done. Empty. Overwhelmed. This isn't working. We need something better. I can't even participate in that anymore because I am done. That's where they're coming from. And that's how they're showing up. I mean, that's who they are. The Hermit is someone who's in deep contemplation. So I think the world sees that they are still thinking about things. They haven't released any information in their experiment yet. It's very quiet, almost off the radar. They're coming from a place of emotional fulfillment. So it's interesting that they're showing up as the 8 of Cups, which is, you know, walking away, I'm done. And yet their history is the 9 of Cups, which is like wish fulfillment, good things. So maybe this was when they decided they were going to be next. They were happy about it, and they were happy that they were chosen for this experiment, and that, you know, they qualified, and they were one of the select groups that they thought would succeed. So they said, let's try this. I'm thinking that's the history, because that's the only thing that would explain this card. Okay, so who are they really? They're making deals and arrangements, but they're coming together. maybe as a people as well. Men and women are coming together, families are coming together because they're getting rid of a lot of the stuff that goes away when you adopt Bitcoin. They're eliminating the riffraff, so to speak, and the good people are getting on board. This is a lot of agreements between a lot of people. So Bitcoin is bringing people together in Nicaragua, or I'm sorry, Nigeria. It's bringing people together in a lot of ways, and I think that's just we will go through phases. That's just what Bitcoin does. These are very good cards, though. Even this is and this is a little off, and I don't want to talk to anybody, but I mean these are really good cards. Okay, let's do the last. Yeah, we're kind of looking at the same thing. Um, this is like play fighting. It's like having a battle, but we're having a hell of a good time while we're fighting. And I think, coming from here to people coming together and agreements and moving forward, and now we have something to finally work with. Yeah, they're like, well, yeah, now we have something to work. Now what are we going to do? And then they're fighting about what to do next because they finally have money to do all these things, and everybody wants a piece of it because they haven't had it ever. And they're play fighting, they're happy fighting, they're fighting over the birthday cake because it's a wonderful cake, and they're all going to get some. But that's the energy of this. And they know this is everything. This is the world card. It's the end of the cycle of sadness and crap. It's everything. But they remember again. They remember the death. They remember the sorrow. They remember the place where they came from. They don't want to forget that because it makes them who they are. And it also makes them authentic. They don't want to forget that, but they don't want to keep dragging it up either. There's a place somewhere where we pass on those stories, but we don't dwell on them. So again, Nigeria is in a very good place, financially, but more so emotionally. I think they're just so thankful that something else came along and that they had an option, because they were literally out of options, and for a long time. You can sustain that for a little while, but not like the amount of time that they put into it. So it's just the nature of the world. Only some places were hit harder than others, but now they're all they're happy because they, like I said, they have so many things that they can do. They don't even know where to begin. It's spoiled for choice. There's so much that can happen that they're fighting about it. But they're all laughing while they're fighting about it because they're fighting about all the great things everybody's going to benefit from. So that's another situation where I would say, big time success. Big time success. These little reads are nice. They're, kind of right to the point. No fooling around. So, something to think about for the future. I wasn't sure if this was going to go well or not. But I like when I have multiple topics, I can do little reads instead of a big read. Because I don't think we need that. I think we're getting the information we want from, what we're seeing. And we just want a quick peek over there and say, hey, how you doing? How's this? Because essentially, we're next. We're going into this, and it's good to know what they did and what they learned. And if they were all terrible, I'd be going, oh man, we got a lot to get through. But I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. Okay. So here we go. So Argentina. How you showing up? Argentina. 1, 2, 3. Looks like the same old story. So there's a victory here. They're walking away, and he's taking the swords, all of them. They're disarmed. So I think that, maybe there was a little bit of political pressure already in place um, so that when this came in, it didn't have to disrupt the political structure. There was something that was maybe hard won, but already in place that they could build from. Um, the rest of the world is seeing anxiety and fear and um, up horribleness and sleepless nights. But I see from their history, they're moving away from moving out of troubled waters. They're moving into a better place. Six of Swords is, I'm moving to safety. I'm moving away from things that no longer serve me. And like I said, the five is he's taking the swords, and the other people are walking away in defeat. They've given up. They've surrendered. So I think not very optimistic cards, but a similar story. Maybe a different origin. So maybe this experiment is a little bit different just because of the type of country and the type of situation that Bitcoin moved into, as opposed to the other two locations. So let's say two more. Oh, well, okay, okay, that's interesting. Major Arcana, the Devil, Ace of Swords. So this is usually, well, the way I see it, and I want to say this little configuration, I watched Tarot by Janine, and she uses it all the time, which is how I learned how to use this little card read configuration, I guess. Anyway, so moving out of troubled water, a lot of swords, which is thoughts and words, thoughts and words, thoughts and words. So this is like more of an intellectual read, but moving out of troubled water physically, I think that's true as well. But this is often about either not seeing things because these are evident, but this one is below the sleeper, so maybe subconsciously, um, something that isn't realized or something that isn't being dealt with. Uh, then the Ace of Swords is like a truth and justice and um, making things clear and evident to everyone, maybe unveiling um, the secrets here. So, I mean, that could be moving out of troubled water, and the secrets that exist maybe are finally coming out and they're being revealed, and their society's trying to heal. But it seems like the devil is still who they're fighting. It seems like there's a much stronger component of the less than 51%, if you go by the law of one, that are still causing issues and concerns and maybe creating problems. The Knight of Cups is someone who is uh, uh, stalwart, steady and trustworthy, and uh, generally a good guy. But he's a knight. He's a Knight of Cups. He's emotionally open and prepared, and maybe that represents the people, but there's this other element that they're still struggling with. They're good and the truth is coming out. But I don't know that this read is as much about Bitcoin. It seems like it's more about the political structure and the emotional structure of their society. I think Argentina is struggling, but with a different thing. I don't think Bitcoin has anything to do with it. Now, they may have instituted Bitcoin as a relief to this situation, which makes sense because from the other two readings, we saw that their society was healing and mending, and it was bringing people together. And I'm not seeing those things yet. I'm seeing that the truth is coming out, and they're finally starting to talk about things and bring things out in the open, which is the beginning of changing a society. And Bitcoin's there as a secret weapon to help people, come together and come to terms with it. And maybe focus on a new money system instead of all the old trauma that they are still processing. After you've been traumatized for a long time, you need a quiet period where you can just relax enough to start processing some of it. And the longer that you are able to remain quiet and you can get quiet, the more healing you can do, until one day you look up and you start noticing that you're not healing 24 hours a day, and you're actually doing other things now. You're starting to engage in life again. So it takes a while. You can only go as fast as you can go, and it's always kind of a surprise what comes up. You think you're healed, and then, whammo. It's as much as you can take, as fast as you can take it. But there may be years and years of trauma. How fast can you go? Okay, but I think that's what's happening in Argentina. It's not as optimistic, but it's definitely optimistic. They're in the right place, moving in the right direction. But I will go through phases. They're in an earlier phase than maybe the other two, and that's okay, because it's all an experiment, and it's all about a lot of things, but mostly it's about people. It's about, different cultures are going to go through this differently. And the fact that the United States is such a mishmash, I guess everywhere is a mishmash with all this migration going on. It's all just a mishmash. So let's look at the overall read again with the Lenormand. And this is for all three places in terms of the experiment of Bitcoin in all three of these places. I want to thank them for showing up and saying they're willing to do this, because that's a big risk too. But it's nice to have friends that are looking out for you. The bear. Boy, somebody was just talking about a bear. And the birds. And the moon. So that's usually the illusion. That's usually gossip. And I just heard somebody talking about the bear in the Lenormand. I know, I was listening to a reading, and they were talking about the bear. Strength, power, protection, authority. Yeah, there's illusion out there, what the public sees and what they're telling us. And there's a lot of gossip, but overall, I think all three places are in more of a position of strength than they have been in a very long time. And I can see that, talk is cheap, thoughts are even cheaper, but actions are what matter in a physical universe. And so we are in a physical universe or realm. And, what you got to do, Just do it, like, those sneaker people say. Okay, that's good. I'll leave those out. Last card. Who's our animal for these countries that are brave and have decided to go first, or have been selected to go first? Needless to say, the process, they went first. 1, 2, 3. First, second, and third. What's their little mascot? The earthworm. Hey, gotta start somewhere. And, sometimes you gotta start small. Earthworm. That's so cute. Yeah, just starting out small. So that's funny, because in this book, they're in the order of the hierarchy of their different places. And the earthworm is like the second one on the earth. The first one, believe it or not, is the bear. And we got a bear. Anyway, earthworm, shy, hesitant, reluctant to share inner vision. We have all felt the woes of the earthworm at some point along the way. The earthworm indicates a newbie or a novice working to establish confidence in a new field. Others around you may seem wise and experienced, but it's important to remember they once felt earthworm energy too. This card is a reminder not to be intimidated or lose hope. Mastery takes time, and you're on the right track. Besides, rumor has it, a beginner's mind offers the most valuable insights. Well, that's absolutely perfect. Earnest, intelligent, valuable. I'll say thank you again for being 1, 2, and 3. Because man, oh man, that's a beautiful thing you're doing for all of us. So, well, I like this read. I thought this went well. It was a good experiment. And I'm just a little over what I usually do. So that's not terrible. Okay, well, the next time I have a multiple situation, I'm going to consider doing this again. Because it moved along quickly, too, and we had good cards. All right. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you again. Bye.